Hello and welcome to Government Unit 2. This video is all about social institutions. Social institutions are systems of rules and values that determine how our society is organized. There are 5 major areas of social institution. Those areas are family, education, religion, economy, and government. Now, there are other institutions that exist in our society, but these are the big ones. These are the 5 big ones that whether you love them or hate them, they are going to affect you and you are going to encounter them. They will have an impact in the world around you. You can resist. You can try to change and reshape, but you will never be able to get rid of them entirely. Now, because this is government class, we are going to be focusing on the institution of government. So let's define exactly what the purpose of government is. The purpose of government is to meet society's needs, particularly in the following areas: law and order, that's just one; security, public services such as water and electricity, and maintaining the other social institutions, keeping them alive, not necessarily trying to shape them too much, though that might happen to some degree, but just to reinforce them. Because of the 5, the government is the one that's the easiest for people to control and use to affect everybody else. So as a result, these social institutions often blend together. For example, school. You are required to go to school. That is part of the law. That is because of the government. And that is because the government, in trying to maintain the other social institution of education, government creates a place for students to meet and learn to interact with people of different values and backgrounds. People have decided this is important. We want our young children and our older children to continue to have these experiences so they learn how to be contributing members of society. Another example of the government involving itself in another social institution to maintain it is the economy. Private enterprise is another word for businesses, whether it's locally, individually owned, or a major corporation like Walmart. A government will get involved to limit the freedom that they have in order to accomplish a number of things to provide for your safety and security. These reasons include profits that might be earned unfairly through cheating or stealing, protecting people from poor work conditions, protecting people from unsafe products, maintaining general economic security, trying to prevent major crashes from happening, or if you can't eliminate them, at least make sure they don't happen often. Maintaining a stable currency so that you know that if you spend $1, they'll accept it. That $1 is still worth $1. You know how much your money is worth and you know it'll be accepted anywhere. The government's job is to make sure that that stays true. And finally, to put in place various environmental protections to maintain our quality of life. Now, all these things sound good, and they are, but to do those things, you have to have a lot of power. And that's the flip side, is what if the government starts to use its power to involve itself in things that we don't want it to? Because they have the power to do that. They have the power to fine you, bill you, put you in jail, execute you. That's a lot of power. And we want to make sure that the government doesn't have too much power to the point that it becomes a dictatorship, which is a form of government in which all power is in the hands of a single individual. And that individual's leadership is often usually dependent upon its military power over its citizens. So while technically our government does have military power over us, that could happen. It doesn't happen because of a number of checks and balances we have placed into the government, into the Constitution, to prevent us from having a dictatorship. Similar to a monarchy, which is another form of government, which is pretty much the same thing as a dictatorship, only instead of the ruler's power being dependent on military power, although it will have military power, it's dependent on who your parents were. So the king or queen in a monarchy is a monarch because they were born into it, as opposed to a dictatorship. They weren't born into it, they just took over using military force. And that's about all the time we have today for social institutions. If you have any questions, let me know in class. Thank you.